too have the power of a god.
I got loyalty inside my DNA.
Kenny!
I got loyalty inside my DNA. I got loyalty, got war and peace inside my DNA. I got poison, pain, and joy inside my DNA.
死んだ天性
I was born against this world. Immaculate conception, not your time. I can perform like this without you. One new weapon, I know. I meditate, humble, humble. This that I got loyalty, got loyalty inside my DNA. I got loyalty, got war and peace inside my DNA. I got poison, pain, and joy inside my DNA.
いい加減おとなしく切られやがれ
I was born against this world. Immaculate conception, not your time. I can perform like this without you. One new weapon, I know. I meditate, humble, humble. This that against the pen. This that I got loyalty.
いつもからキレキン穴があったら入りたい
Loyalty inside my DNA.
Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to Anime Court. I am your judge, Miss Tioni, and we have our plaintiff and defendant here. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
I'll
No.
go first. Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm Dwight. I'll be representing the Jedi Council here today, trying to get them off of these charges.
And I am representing the people, mind you. The people that are supposed to be protected by the Jedi, mind you, that aren't in this case here. So I do hope you have your research papers and everything done, because I have a lot of notes down here somewhere, and I got a lot to say.
You're coming
Well-
after the people who are supposed to be defending everybody else. You're already facing a losing argument here. It's okay.
We'll see about that.
In your notes, it's great.
No, we'll
All right,
see.
you two. Let's save it for now. But it is May the 4th, so to everyone, May the 4th be with you. But we are putting the Jedi on trial today, and the charges are, if I can get it pulled up here, yes. We are charging the Jedi with accessory to murder of the casualties of the Clone Wars, dereliction of duty, including ignoring multiple crimes, including slavery and murder, and this possible charge up in the air of the use of children soldiers? Maybe?
Well, see,
Defendant, did you want to give that one up?
actually, yeah, no, we're gonna go ahead and throw ourselves at the mercy of the court and plead guilty to that one, because no, I don't want to be that guy who's trying to be on air trying to defend the Jedi Council from, actually sending children out to fight. That's just me.
So before we get further into, the Jedi are confirming that they are guilty of using children as soldiers, correct?
Correct.
This is going to be wonderful. So I am going to go ahead and let's give it off to the defendant first to defend the Jedi against the first charge.
I could have swore that the plaintiff went first here.
Do you want me to?
I'm just
Yeah, no, by all means.
okay. So for the first charge of accessory to murder of the casualties of the Clone Wars, Mikey.
So we have the accessory to murder. Let's talk about that for a second, actually, right? Through the I'm sorry, you guys. Once again, I'll introduce myself. I'm Mikey. I'm defending the people of this esteemed universe from these tyrants, these bullies with weapons. Okay, these lightsabers that can cut through anything. We give these people that. It's crazy. I personally would not be doing that. Protect my children's and all our wives. You got to think about this, all right? These guys are bullies. But accessory to murder. So I see that. We'll just go back to the Clone Wars here. I actually don't have anything set for anything to show, but what did the Jedi do but not actually assist in saving the people of the universe and the planets from the separatists. I believe. Was it the Clone Wars or the? No, it was the Clone Wars.
Yeah, no, that was the separatists, right?
What?
Between
No, I'm lost. Hold on. Sorry, my notes are actually all jumbled up here. You wouldn't believe it. Probably
They
just
were
tell you
very
that-
excited for this case.
Oh, trust me, I'm really excited for the case. I'm putting these guys down. I'm doing it for the people. But yeah, so for people who don't know about like a certain law, accessory to murder actually means if someone actually aids in the killing of another person, but isn't present when the murder is being committed. And it's not just like the murder on accessory to murder on one party. It's actually accessory to mass murder. Because through the Clone Wars, actually, I got it wrong. It was the robot. So through the Clone Wars, these Jedi that are supposed to protect and serve, right, went off to kill. Who did they kill? Holy moly!
no, they were going after. They were allegedly supposed to be going after droids. From no point of view.
Are you telling me that droid lives don't matter?
I mean, the way I understand it, the droids were built by the separatists because they wanted to leave. So because they wanted to leave and not actually put people in harm's way, which is why I'm curious why you're charging my clients with what you're charging with. They sent robots to do all of their fighting.
Oh, I see. Hey, let me ask you a question, sir. Do you have a cellular device?
I do.
What kind of cellular device do you have?
Android.
An Android, huh? Droid. But you use this every day, correct? This helps you, right?
I do. All the time.
I see. So without this Android, where would you be? Would you be in trouble with a lot of things? Because you do. I'm sure you need this in daily life, right?
I am perfectly fine with my phone until my phone gets to a point where it decides it wants to break down and rebel.
Yeah,
And when
because
that
it's
rebellion
under the
needs to be
mercy
put
of you, sir. Your Android phone is under the mercy of you, along with these other Jedi's who treat them like trash, just grabbing them up with some mystical force, as if we don't know what this is, some magic that regular people don't have. Like I don't have the force, obviously. Maybe you don't have the force. Maybe your clients do, but you guys just grab them up, bundle them up. So you're telling me that you guys just treat these hardworking machines built to serve and help, because the law of robotics and all that. You told me you guys just that's what you guys do. You destroyed all of them. Countless rots just getting destroyed.
Droids are not sentient humans or people, for that matter.
They're not even people.
They are built for a purpose, and at the moment that purpose is not something that can be done any further, then you have to upgrade. You have to replace them. Just like everything else in the world, things decay. And
Are you saying
machines,
that so people could also
and I'm saying that machines do so at a faster rate. So we're not going to make this about you trying to say that the Jedi are responsible for the murder of droids, because the droids were alive to begin with. Now, I mean, if you want to talk about casualties, I mean, we can, but quite frankly, I'm afraid of the precedent that would get set if you say that the Jedi are, accessories to a crime that they themselves end up being the victims of. I mean, think about it. Think about it. The whole deal with what you're trying to say here is the casualties of the Clone War. The Jedi were casualties of the Clone War. What happened at the end of it?
The people rose up.
The people rose up.
You tyrants. The people rose up.
I say a despot took over and played the people against the Jedi, and that was what makes them victims of the Clone Wars.
So, Mr. Dwight, what you're saying is that your clients, the Jedis, are victims of the Clone Wars.
I am. They were in a position where, yes, they were made out to be the heroes and everything along those lines. They were in a position where they would go on a case-by-case basis, the best they can, to move people. And I say people because the clones were people, not the droids. They were in a position where they had to lead people to protect innocent non-combatants from the mass murder being perpetrated by the separatists, using those same droids that you tried to defend a couple of seconds ago, sir. So at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, when the Clone Wars took a turn to where they were almost over, and it was a situation where, you know, the Emperor decided we are moving in a different direction, and we no longer want to have the Jedi involved with that. I say that the Jedi were framed of the crimes that you are trying to put on them today, and it is a situation where they are also victims of that same crime, especially this one.
Can you really say that they're victims with all that power that they hold?
Just because you have power doesn't mean you can't be outplayed. I will concede that the Jedi may have been outplayed by the political machinations of the person who came out on top at the end of the day. But I will not say that they were completely at fault for everything that went down there.
Okay.
Rebuttal?
I call Cap.
No.
Please
All right.
elaborate.
Oh, sure. The droids. If I could actually pull up a picture of a droid that was so dangerous and crazy.
The court will allow Exhibit A.
Yeah, I got it. I'm trying to get not a weird picture because I like to meme a lot, but you know. Oh, that's that one. Sorry, I'm cycling through my nose, but it's completely fast. I got this. Anyway, so you're telling me, sir, that oh well, it's not here. Or you might have got it this time.
I'm about to say what's going on in your.
It seems one of the lawyers here is not properly organized.
No, oh my gosh, it's crazy.
And
was it you? Was it a Jedi? It's like I'm getting like Jedi mind trick. Something going on here. I'm not sure.
I'm
Mr. Dwight, I would like to have your client, the Jedi, refrain from any Jedi mind trick during these proceedings.
Yeah,
Your Honor, I apologize if there's any of that going on here. It will definitely be something that we will refrain from doing going forward.
Thank you.
More or less say the androids, the small androids that we used to assist people, were the ones that were fighting for our right to, or at least not my right, because I only represent but so much, but the right to kind of go on and do what they wanted to do. You know, they helped out these small skinny robots, you know, the Roger types, right? You telling me those scary things that can also get Jedi mind trick, mind you, a robot getting Jedi mind trick. Don't you need to have like a brain, an operatable brain, like a human brain to get tricked?
The most that can happen to a battle droid, because I want to make sure that you understand that these things were put here for one reason, and they were put here to fight. They are called battle droids, and that is, they don't have a mind per se. The Force can do many things. A mind trick is one, but it is a seldom used ability that the Jedi do have. But more so, that gets used is the ability to move things. And machines are kind of fragile. You move something and they stop working. So I wouldn't necessarily say a mind trick because, I mean, they don't have minds to trick.
So let me ask you a question then. You called them a battle droid, right? Because they're made for battle, correct?
Correct.
Would that be the same thing for a Jedi, since they're pretty much bred to, from what it seems, conquer planets and destroy everything else?
Did they conquer planets and destroy everything else?
Did they?
I don't think
guys. I believe that they have. For what? For the Republic, you say? You want to blame it all on the Republic? But let's be real.
that is a reach. The Republic was a optional entity to be a part of. And yes, there were certain benefits to, trade, policing, all that fun stuff, but it was optional. No one from the Republic actually went on a move to conquer. And if it was a situation where someone didn't want to be a part of the Republic, they could always still ask the Jedi for help anyway. It would just be one of those things where if the Jedi have the manpower for it, then of course they will send someone available to go help.
I raised something, and I obviously I didn't really gather my notes. Can I ask you a question? Was Luke a Jedi?
In what regard?
Is Luke a Jedi?
I mean, I suppose, yes.
He killed a lot of people on that Death Star, didn't he?
At that moment, he was acting as a combatant, acting for the betterment of the galaxy as a whole. That station was a military target filled with military personnel. And unfortunately, in war, because that's what they were in, the rebellion to restore the Republic, not to not to subjugate the people, the Republic, which was a democratic means of governing versus the dictatorial powers that the Emperor had. So the Emperor, who, mind you, got up there via the shady means that I mentioned earlier. See, the order to execute the Jedi, Order 66.
First off, I would like to say thanks, Jamal, for pointing that out to me. Obviously, because I definitely needed that in my notes. But I raised you. What about Deborah? Little Deborah, who actually has to support her family by taking a job at the Death Star 2 planets away from her kids. And she's a janitor. She's a janitor in the Death Star. You know how big the Death Star is? There's only 2 janitors in the whole entire Death Star. And you're telling me that Luke didn't really care to sense it out with his force to see that she was in there? She's innocent. She's an innocent bystander. She has no choice. She has to work. What do you say about that, sir?
What do I say about that?
Yeah,
I say
about Deborah. And now her orphan kids.
I say everybody is in a position where they do have a family, but this is not a case about the vagaries of war. I can't let you make it about that because of the fact that at the end of the day, like I said, the Death Star was a military target. The same way the Empire used that same Death Star to hit another quote unquote military target in Alderaan.
I'm not representing them, by the way. So
we will be going back to the Clone Wars, clients, lawyers. I would like to go back to the Clone Wars and focus on that.
Absolutely.
Well, we will get on Vader and Luke at another time. They are next in the proceedings here, but we want to focus on the Clone Wars right now.
Okay.
Apologies.
Move on to the next charge, I guess. Since I have to just let that be as it be. We know that they have, what the kids nowadays would say, they got bodies on bodies now, stacking it. They've got rid of their ops. So,
And the second charge here is dereliction of duty, ignoring multiple crimes, including slavery and murder. We're going to start off with the plaintiff here.
Okay. So essentially, my client would like.
Plaintiff?
Hey, he wants to defend this. This is fine. I want this to happen. I got last time. Please go ahead and defend your.
All right, cool. So, apologies about that. I was reading stuff and I zoned out, but I digress. But no, essentially, you would like to lay the rampant slavery and murder that was going on in the Outer Rim at the feet of the Jedi. Which, to that, I unfortunately have to say that the agreement that the Jedi had was specifically with the Republic. And unfortunately, because of the agreement to protect and serve was specifically with the Republic, planets in the Outer Rim had to make time to ask the Jedi for help. And since it was a situation where the Jedi could only move when and where they could afford to move because they're busy doing what they promised the Republic they would do, things like that have a tendency to happen. Priorities have to be made. I mean, let's take a well-known figure, for example. Anakin Skywalker on Tatooine. The reason that they left the rest of those people in slavery, they had royalty on them at that particular moment, and they were being chased. It's not by what later on down the line gets proven to be, the same at that point senator who eventually takes over the whole galaxy. So I mean, if you're in a position where you're being chased and you have to protect the people that are around you, yeah, if you have the opportunity to get one or two people out of bondage, by all means, I absolutely think you should do that. But for the greater good, I definitely think that you should be sticking to your overall mission. So I don't necessarily feel like the dereliction of duty isn't something that can be put on the Jedi. They were only doing what they were able to do in the time that they had available to do it.
So I would like to add on that. I do, I can understand that they were in a rush. They had, they were lost. They were trying to figure stuff out. They weren't trying to get, actually just beat up. Plus, they were supposed to go find something anyway. That little boy, you said his name was Anakin?
Yes.
I see. And how old was Anakin?
At that point in time, he was 9.
9 years. 9. That's quite a little number for a child to be indoctrinated into the police, I guess, for the universe at that point.
Indoctrinated is such a strong word.
Oh, you're right.
Especially
Well, I should say abducted into the police force of the universe. Yeah.
As a trainee. There's no means to actually say that is something that, he was going at full-fledged. He was still learning at that age. Okay. No one expects a 9-year-old to just go out into the world to actually go ahead and solve problems at the level that an adult can. Okay. That being said, it does take a long time to, learn how to control the force, as it were.
Okay, that's fair. The reason I brought him up was who was there? Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan, correct?
Correct.
Okay. They could have been doing anything else on the planet or in the universe, but they were stuck there, I guess, picking up Anakin and avoiding all this stuff. Why were they in the race? Or why were they just standing around watching a race? They're wasting their time where they could be saving people or governing the universe, but they want to watch a kid's race.
So you want to know why it was the better play to actually stay there and watch the race versus, essentially going in and being the beat cops that it feels like you're accusing my clients of being. The idea here is that there are consequences to these types of actions. Mm-hmm. Tatooine has slavery on it and rampant murder because it is not a part of the Republic, because it has a different type of governing body. The Hutts don't care about much when it comes down to that type of thing. All they want to see is their money going. So if it's a situation where you have Republic citizens and the Jedi, despite you wanting to other them, are Republic citizens, they are there to find a way home because their ship got damaged running from, at that point, the earliest versions of what would be separatists down the line. And since they are there trying to find a way home, they have to do so by any means necessary within the bounds of the law that they are in the area of. Going guns blazing into a situation where they can, cut down anyone in the way in order to make their way home, not only would that set a bad precedent, but that would have repercussions for the Republic that they're trying to protect. So if by following the rules to the best of their ability, they are only able to manage to save one little boy by watching a race and watching him win said race, then not by all means. Just take the little bit of time necessary to do that and get your way home. So that way you can complete your overarching mission. Not just it's not a situation where we're just kind of hanging out playing around.
I don't know about that. They definitely were still playing around on that planet for a while. They could have actually left nearly at any time, actually. So let's look at this. I see somebody on the stand, a juror, mentioning to me about pod racing training and Anakin telling his mom that he was leaving her in slavery. Could they not have taken her mom too, or his mom too? Could they not have just like literally taken the whole family actually and just like move them away, like with them? Like I'm pretty sure they were taking them to like a different planet anyway.
Yeah, because as soon as they noticed that she was missing, there's a bomb inside of her. As soon as her owner realized that he was missing a slave and figured out that she had been stolen, it would have been much more traumatic for that bomb to be activated as soon as, let's just say, they left, because once we realized that he had been swindled.
So let me ask you a question. With all this magical voodoo hoopla that the Jedi's just so happen to have, they couldn't easily got rid of the bomb? Because I've seen a Jedi jump over a skyscraper, do 15 flips, and then land on their pinky. Explain this. With all that power, they couldn't help a citizen of the universe, mind you, and of slavery.
At the end of the day, if it were a situation where that was an option without the risk being what it was, like the risk is her life. Better it be a situation where she lives and has an opportunity to escape at a different time versus her life just end right there when it's not something she wants.
So I'm going to change my approach a little bit. We're going on the same thing here with Anakin's mother. Mm-hmm. He went back to the planet to save her initially, right?
Correct.
These Tusken Raiders completely just tortured her, mutilated her, did all this crazy stuff to her, right? Anakin then got angry and killed them. Entire village. Everything in there. The kids, the animals, sliced up a couple pots, expensive pots, mind you. Is that not an abuse of his power there? Shouldn't he be taking them to, like, be judged themselves? Why did he think to take it upon himself to deliver his own execution? He's not judge, jury, and executioner. And this is who you were representing, the Jedi?
True. The events right before the start of the Clone Wars was definitely a problem. The murder of that entire Tusken village is something that Anakin Skywalker, at the end of the day, did pay for with his death at the hands of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So it's not necessarily a situation where that crime went unpunished. That being said, the initial thought behind that attack was indeed justice, not revenge. It was a situation where these same group of Tusken Raiders not only kidnapped his mother, but they defeated and killed the raiding party that went after her to save her, via their own justice system. So because of
slaughtered everybody
and when that justice system failed, Anakin Skywalker came back and meted out justice. And while it was a situation where in that meeting out, there was the unfortunate casualties of the innocents within that village, those innocents were still in a position where some did escape. The word did get out. While it wasn't necessarily a lot of them, it wasn't all of them.
but he
So,
did
Mr.
slaughter
Dwight,
innocent.
you were saying that one of your clients that is or was a former Jedi acted out in a form of justice and not revenge, correct?
I believe it was more so justice instead of revenge. Yes.
Uh,
Continue.
objection. That was definitely that was not justice. That was clear as a bottle. Clear. That was revenge. That was revenge to the utmost. Like I couldn't have done it myself as well as he did. He was like a surgeon. He went in perfectly. I'm pretty sure he lined them all up with his force power to cut them all with the same thing, man.
I object to you calling it revenge because he had a personal link to the main victim there. It was definitely a situation where those same Tusken Raiders did not just murder Shmi Skywalker, they did other things to other people. This was a band of Raiders that has been active for a while. So it's not just revenge if you want to make the personal connection between Anakin and his mother. Sure, go for it. But I will say it was still, at the end of the day, justice.
I see. I see.
Can't trick me.
This does bring me to a new charge here.
Yeah.
I think as for the people, you can agree with this as this has just come up as something. The Jedi are going to be charged with abuse of power.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Dwight, if you would like to go ahead and try to defend your clients for the charge of abuse of power in the 3rd degree. And the 1st.
Abuse of power
in the 2nd.
And
Might as well just throw in all the degrees here.
right. So we're throwing the entire dictionary at them. I see. Kill a man with the hit in the head with that type of a book.
Mr. Dwight, please defend your client.
When it comes down to the abuse of power, as I said earlier, the Jedi acted within the specifics of their oath to protect and serve the Republic. If it is an abuse of power to stop a band of raiders from going around and kidnapping, torturing, killing, stealing, then I need you to own up to the dereliction of duty charge and remove it in general. Because if it's a situation where you want the Jedi to, you can't have it both ways. You can either have them be ignoring things and charge them for that, or you can charge them with abusing their power when they actually break down and decide to mete out justice in the quickest means possible.
So you don't want them to be double charged. You're saying to take away one of the charges if it's
You
the other, right?
need to take one off the table. The fact of the matter is their duty is to protect and serve. They can either be the poster child of that particular picture when it comes down to the Republic, or they can either be superheroes and we can be out here and be vigilantes.
I would love to agree with you there to take away his charge. However, the main bad on your side here, your client Anakin Skywalker. He's man. I got a whole book here. I got a book here of all his stuff here, man.
I object. We talked about this. Anakin Skywalker had already been dealt with because of his crimes at the hands of Obi-Wan Kenobi on Mustafar. That man did not lead that fight. Period.
Well, I mean, he didn't really die per se because he still came back to help Luke at the end. So I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna hold it. But you gotta understand, this is before he even had the justice. So check this out, right? So okay, we got here. Do you remember his the scene in which he and Padme frolicking through the, I guess, meadow, just doing whatever, saying whatever, just kind of chilling, being young adults? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sure Padme, as a respected higher up on her planet, she was talking about what he could and couldn't do. As you know, like he wanted to have things his own way. He wanted to get rid of people in order to actually maintain justice, which I'm pretty sure you would agree with, right? There are some people who are actually evil. You need to get rid of them. That's what he wanted to do.
That's not exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted to make sure that he wanted the system to mirror what it was at an idealistic level. I believe he said we should have everyone get into a group, discuss what's best for everyone, and then do it. And that is what a representative body does on an ideal space. Unfortunately, people don't always agree.
Well, Padme said it was terrible and that he's talking about hurting people. And she asked him twice. She said, "You're kidding, right, Anakin? Right?" And he just had the stalest face. He wasn't kidding. He was going to do it.
And definitely. I believe you're misinterpreting one of my clients here. He definitely was joking.
Okay.
I believe I see a charge from Anakin here of him killing younglings. So how much do you think he was kidding?
No, by that point in time, by that point in time, Anakin was working with the despot that I mentioned earlier, the one who actually kicked off Order 66. While I will not sit here and defend Anakin Skywalker's later crimes, I will say that by the time that the Clone Wars ended, justice was definitely meted out. Anakin Skywalker was no longer alive by the time that happened at the hands of another Jedi.
May I ask a question on that? So I'm reading here that he actually did it because he didn't get promoted.
The lack of a promotion?
Yeah. And that's not a charge. I'm just saying that he decided to go against his own department, per se, and he handled things the way he wanted to handle them because somebody else was talking into his ear. He knew it was wrong, but he decided, I'm going to do it anyway because I have the power, which then he slaughtered the younglings. So I'm saying he did it because he didn't get the promotion.
I'm saying that he slaughtered the younglings on an official command. Order 66 wasn't a fluke. It was an order.
Oh no! So Order 66 was
given from the highest authority in the at that point in time Republic.
I think Order 66 was given to the clone troopers for sure. And Anakin was told, "Hey, so those little kids down there need to go. I'm not telling you, but they kind of got to go." And he said, "Oh, no problem, boss."
It was a direct order to kill every remaining Jedi in the galaxy, as many as a mess you can catch, including the younglings. And unfortunately, the younglings qualified for that particular number. Therefore, yes, Order 66 was not given to Anakin Skywalker. By that point in time, that man was no longer in charge of the show. He might have still been in there a little bit, but he was not in charge.
I'm actually glad you said that. You said that it was to kill all the Jedi, but those are kids that haven't even gotten to the Jedi level. They actually had no lightsabers. You're supposed to go and make your own lightsaber once you started, progressing in your training. They had no lightsaber. So he just killed those kids.
Go look at that picture. I bet you every single one of those kids is armed, at least with a training blade.
Hey, man. Listen, man. I'm just saying, Anakin is going to be your worst. It sucks to defend him, honestly. I got a whole rep sheet of just him just being heinous, and I got to put on his name, regardless of whether he's Vader or not.
As I said, Anakin Skywalker had justice meted out to him by the very Jedi that you are trying to prosecute today. So that's why I'm trying to say here, you cannot bring up the crimes of Anakin Skywalker when you're talking about the council, because as you said earlier, he didn't even get the promotion.
He was still a Jedi Knight. He just wasn't a master. He was hanging around, but he was like, "Yo, bro," and as I quote, "You're not giving me the rank of a master? Why?" He got upset. And now I know why, because they gave it to him. He would really be ruling with the iron fist. steel fist, not iron fist. Sorry, it was like steel. It was like really hard steel. Anyway, I don't. You're not. Anakin is. You should have dropped him as a client, man. I don't know how anybody could defend him. He is terrible.
Anakin Skywalker is not the whole of the Jedi. If you are going to look at the Jedi as a whole in regards to some of these charges, the abuse of power one, again, as I just said, you cannot have it both ways. You can't charge him for dereliction of duty and then get mad at him and do something about it. And unfortunately, Anakin is the worst example of this. But then you have other examples. Say, take one of my main clients here, the very same Obi-Wan Kenobi that you tried to, talk about earlier. That is a man who distinguished himself throughout not only the Clone Wars, but beforehand. When the Sith started to come back, the first thing that happened here, his master went down, but not him. He decided he was going to go ahead and, for lack of a better term, nut up and clutch. So, and then from there, while he did make mistakes, as we're wont to do as we're human, he corrected those mistakes by, as I said earlier, dispatching Anakin Skywalker in order to, stop any more of the heinous actions that went down during Order 66. As I said, Order 66 was the apex of the crimes committed during that time frame, and one of the biggest crimes committed against multiple citizens of the Republic, the Jedi. They were victims in this same set of crimes that you're trying to throw at their feet. This wasn't these weren't crimes committed by the Jedi. These were crimes committed by the Republic on the Jedi.
I see, but they're following orders, of course, but they're still doing it. So let me ask you a question. Let me just run that by you. You said that your clients, the younglings, had weapons, training sabers, something to protect them. I guess maybe they were training in the room. Is that what Anakin or whoever told you? It seems like that's what they told you.
No, I'm going off of what I'm seeing in regards to footage.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I have also evidence here that shows that Anakin was the only one in the room with the lightsaber. Those kids were happy to see him, it seems, and he just straight up turned them into Strassini. Man, I don't
go back to that. There's a kid over there.
Bring it back up.
No, that corner. That kid's not armed.
Boy, that's a vase. They're holding on to dear life. If that's what you're trying to say, they're armed with. I don't know. It seems like the Jedi are lying to you to try to get them a lighter sentence than what they need to have. I'm starting to believe that Order 66 was something that was better for the universe. And as terrible as that sounds, I mean, I don't have to show you again, do I? I don't. What do you want me to do here? My hands are tied. Judge, my hands are tied.
Mr. Dwight?
It is unfortunate that they are not armed here. And again, as I said, Anakin Skywalker at that point in time was not acting as a Jedi.
That's a blue lightsaber.
The blue lightsaber is not necessarily indicative of a Jedi or a Sith.
Yeah, it is.
It's definitely indicative of us. It's more so indicative of what the lightsaber happened to be because of its previous wielder. Do you know how lightsabers get their color in the first place?
Absolutely.
Fathering children.
Kyber crystal. They have to go make their lightsaber. They have to go find the Kyber crystal themselves. They tune it with the Force.
Okay. Correct. Now, do you know how you get a red saber, though?
You make it bleed.
Correct. Now, in a time frame between when Anakin Skywalker is no longer the one running the show when it comes down to that particular individual's body, and Darth Vader takes over, there's not that much time that passes between that and when Order 66 is given. It's almost literally immediate. As a matter of fact, before the man even leaves the room, at that point in time, Chancellor Palpatine gives him the order to go to the temple and make sure nobody else is there. That wasn't an order given to a Jedi. That was an order given to a Sith apprentice. You can't blame the Jedi for killing those younglings because it wasn't the Jedi in the room doing it.
But I can blame Anakin for saying sure instead of saying no.
And,
My duty is.
again, as I said,
Mhm.
any justice that needed to be meted out against Anakin Skywalker for any crimes that he committed during his times as a Jedi and during the Clone Wars were dealt with by Obi-Wan Kenobi when he cut him down on Mustafar. So what you're telling me is that you blame the Jedi for the deaths of those little kids when the Grandmaster promptly gets back, finds out what happens, and mourns them immediately. This is not the crime of the Jedi. This is the crime of the people who took over after the fact.
Okay.
And that is why I'm saying that you cannot blame my clients for the actions of that dictator. That is, it's wrong.
You know what? I'll admit that is fair. Just like Anakin said, we're gonna let the heads roll.
That is a terrible way to put this, although not inaccurate.
Definitely not inaccurate. The records show that that's his best thing to do.
Not inaccurate. But again, I cannot stress this enough. Anakin Skywalker no longer ceased to be affiliated with the Jedi Order by the time that this trial became relevant. So it's definitely a situation where he is not part of who we are defending here. If we have to have a chief client, then I suppose we would have to put that on the Grandmaster in the face of the show, who would be Yoda. For better or worse.
Okay.
Let's see.
So okay, well that rests for that charge then. Since that's as much as you want to say on it, that's as much as I can say on it myself.
I mean, I rest on that as well. That's where I'm at.
All right, gentlemen. I believe we have heard all the charges. Is that correct?
Actually, there's if we're not going to, address the child soldiers who are easily dealt with, by the way, mind you, easily dealt with, thrown aside, cut like grass, I guess. I mean,
By the time, again, I object to this on the strength of the fact that the children that he is speaking of, the child soldiers, those are, we have already pled guilty to this particular charge. We don't need to have it read back to us.
You're right, and I'm not reading it back. I'm just making sure that you know that they were slaughtered, which would definitely be an accessory to the mass murder. But we're not gonna get on that. That's something completely different. I have one more charge, sir, and I hope you can be as honest as you can about this charge. The charge, Judge, is the assault on the elderly. Jedi are known to beating up the elderly. Actually, it's kind of a strange thing, personally.
Please elaborate.
Elaborate. Please give me one moment to just gather this one note here.
I must say, Mr. Dwight, it is not looking very good for you.
Oh boy. So I would like to show everybody right here. Oh boy, it's really bad. Here is the exhibit in which I wish to show you. This poor, frail old man who's also in charge of an entire, he's the chancellor, is being harassed by Jedi here for no reason whatsoever.
Mr. Mikey, are you saying that Emperor Palpatine, the one who gave the order 66 to execute,
now you see,
is a victim?
Yes, indeed, actually, because Emperor Palpatine didn't give the order. It was the Sith that did. Darth Sidious. Actually.
I like to object to this.
Sure. Darth Sidious actually gave the order
Darth Sidious is the true name of Emperor Palpatine, of Chancellor Palpatine. That was the and it was an order given in his capacity as Chancellor. Just because it was a situation where Anakin Skywalker at that moment had a change of identity, Palpatine been the same guy since day one. That is not a distinction that gets to be made when it comes down to Palpatine, who not only, if we're going over the entirety of this, started the Clone Wars, manipulated the Clone Wars, and led the Jedi and all of the countless innocents that you're trying to charge my clients to be accessories of the murder for to slaughter.
Yeah.
This man, as a matter of fact, pull that picture back up. This picture is so out of context.
What are you talking about?
This is not an assault on the elderly. This is what happened when an arrest for a despot went terribly, terribly wrong. Right before this picture even took place, there were five Jedi Masters from the Council that you are trying to prosecute.
Hold on, you're telling me that for this one old, decrepit, weak old man, they sicked 5 Jedi on him? 5 for this one old man?
This one old man turned the 5 Jedi who started it into that picture, which was one and a guy who showed up late. At the end of the day, this is the same individual who not only, like I said, started the Clone Wars, manipulated them, and led the Jedi and the Innocents, all of that into slaughter, but then turned around and then promptly turned the one chance at making all of this right into, well, I mean, at the end of the day, we have proof that Anakin Skywalker did become here. I'll concede that. But not because of actions committed by Anakin himself, but because of manipulations from the very same man that you're saying that the Jedi abused and assaulted. This was a man who did not want to give up power after he won the war, which was something that he was supposed to do as the Chancellor.
So then this is weird because you said that basically the Jedi follow what he says, right? They're on his payroll, correct?
Correct.
Are they biting the hand that feeds them? This is what I am saying is nothing wrong with what I'm saying at this point, is what you're telling me.
You're calling this act treason when
that's exactly what Palpatine said. He said
you're calling this treason when it was a situation where the main stipulation for Palpatine to cede his power had been met. The war was won. Both generals had been defeated. The Separatists were in a position where they had to come to the negotiating table. This war is over. You can give up your power. You can let politics resume. He chose not to do that, and the Jedi acted in kind and tried to arrest him. Unfortunately, every single individual that went to arrest him lost their life that night.
And then he has guards like any high official would. They have guards. And you don't need a lightsaber to arrest somebody, don't you think? I mean, like, especially an older, decrepit man. It doesn't seem right to me, you know?
Especially, you would need the lightsaber if the man who you were going to arrest was trained to actually use one as well. Not only that,
he was just a challenger. He was just sitting there. He has done. So, tell you what, I'll let you rest that one for now. But there is another example here. I don't have to show any images of it because everybody knows it. Obi-Wan Kenobi is a troll. We love him. He's cool. He's one of the only Jedi that I could follow if I could. There's a old man. He's been, I guess, had a lot of surgeries, and now he's just pretty much maybe half droid, half man at this point, mostly droid. His name is General Grievous. And he is just a general following orders, but he's old, really old.
By the time that it became pertinent, first off, General Grievous ain't that old. I think you're getting you're he's old in terms of our lifespan. I guess humans only get like 80, 90 years, 100 if we're lucky. But he belonged to a species where he wasn't that old. He made decisions himself in order to find himself, maimed. And as a matter of fact, now that you bring up General Grievous, if I'm not mistaken, he was a casualty of this war as well. When you
By the
sit back and
Jedi,
think,
you say?
like I said, the same man that you're trying to protect over here, Palpatine, saying that he was assaulted,
Uh-huh.
he was the same machinations that led the Jedi to their doom. That man's same machinations led General Grievous to become the General Grievous that Obi-Wan Kenobi had to unfortunately strike down in the middle of a war.
He was also trolling him the entire time. He always made fun of him for no reason. If you're in a war, fight. Not just make fun of him the entire time. This guy is, don't you know, you have to set an example, but Obi-Wan always talks smack. What kind of example is
My
that?
friends can be charged with many things, but being incredibly sassy is not one of them. Although it is the case where General Kenobi was indeed incredibly sassy. But it is not a.
What about Count Dooku? Now, before you call him a dirty, dirty Sith, okay? He was once a Jedi himself, but got pushed away by little Yoda. He had no choice but to become a Sith because there was no other place for him. He was pushed away. Old man beating up another old man?
I wouldn't.
Jedi beating up another old man, actually. Oh, and Anakin killed him. Anakin killed him, by the way. He let the head roll, by the way. He did a precursor to what he was going to do to the younglings. He was practice. It was a practice wings.
Again, I will say that Count Dooku was unfortunately another victim of the machinations of the person at the top of all of this, the Chancellor / Emperor Palpatine, that you are here to. I thought you were here to defend the people, but you keep seeming to go back to defending.
Is he not also a voice for the people that he's trying to protect in his little space of the quadrant here? Is that wrong for me to say?
It is incorrect when in the same breath you're going to use the lies and manipulations of another man to justify it. And that's what I'm taking issue with here right now. You cannot use Emperor Palpatine as evidence to say that the elderly were getting abused. As a matter of fact, a lot of the best Jedi were older and elderly individuals. Count Dooku was he was close to 8. He was close to 80 by the time the end of the Clone Wars rolled around.
No way.
And there was a situation where he was fighting Yoda, who at that point in time was close to 800 years his senior. So if we're talking about elderly abuse, it goes both ways. It's not a situation where we can say that the elderly were getting abused by the Jedi. The Jedi were defending themselves and the people around them. If the person happened to be incredibly old that was causing the problem, it just so happened to be the person who was causing the problem got dealt with. The hammer of justice, as it was said by Batman, I believe, is unisex. I am adding in that it is also ageless.
It's an all-time favorite. I'll admit it. Okay, fine. You got that. That's all the charges that I have for these Jedi, Judge. That's pretty much it.
Are we resting here?
I'm resting.
My lightsaber's at rest.
Well, gentlemen, you each get 2 minutes to do your closing arguments. We will start off with the defendant first. You can start now.
At the end of the day, we've heard 4 different charges: accessory to murder, dereliction of duty, abuse of the elderly, and the use of child soldiers, which at the end of the day, we will concede that point because the Jedi had no business sending anyone under the age of 18 into combat. That is perfectly fine. We throw ourselves on the mercy of the court with that. But as to everything else, at the end of the day, you can trace all of this back to one spot, and that would be the person at the head of the Republic at that time, Sheev Palpatine. Because of his machinations and his thought process on how things should work, many people got played and many people died. As a result of that, the Jedi were put in a position where they had to ignore many things and they had to resort to actions that many would find not necessarily wholesome, but at the same time, the idea here was to get the people the best help that they could. And at the end of the day, they ended up being victims of that same action. So I cannot sit here and let my colleague here say that the Jedi are responsible for these things, because at the end of the day, they weren't. They were manipulated just like everybody else. And as a result, they paid for it with their lives. I think I went under 2 minutes, but we'll go ahead and give it over to the plaintiff over here.
All right, you
Okay.
did have 13 seconds to spare. Did you want to add anything to that?
No, we're good. Yes,
All
our case.
right. Plaintiff, your
Sure.
2 minutes starts now.
I want to stand and make sure I'm standing like everybody else, like a regular person, like a regular, like me and you over there. I see you, buddy. I see you. I don't have any powers like the Jedi. All right, I'm like one of you guys. I'm one of you, regular human, and we're supposed to believe in the Jedi to protect and serve us, to help us. I've heard plenty of times, plenty of times, that a Jedi is worth 1,000 clones. And at least 50 clones like 1,000 droids, right? So then, let me ask you this. Why can't they help us? Why do they do these things to us? Take our children, leave us in slavery, don't help when they need to? What kind of sense is that for us? Would we believe and hold them accountable? There's plenty of bounty hunters out there we could pay and do a better job. Do we need to pay the Jedi? That would just make them even more corrupt, right? I don't know what else to do about these guys. I can only believe in the Chancellor. Seemed like he had the right idea to go with stuff. And and I'm not saying that because he's putting cash in my pocket under the table. I'm just saying that in general because, we're just regular dudes. The Jedi is supposed to help us. That's all I have to say, Judge.
All right, you have 33 seconds. Not
all I
happy
need.
to hear that you might have been bribed during this court case.
Definitely was not. I'm really broke. But if people are offering, I would defend them anytime.
Uh-huh. I'm just need a minute because
Motion to investigate the plaintiff for being.
I would like to, because sir, I don't think I can go past you
Nothing
saying
has
that
happened. Everything
you are
is fine. There's nothing going on.
I believe I stated at the beginning of this case that I would like the Jedi to stop any Jedi mind tricks. Mr. Mikey, you are part of the people representing the people. You do not have any Jedi magic to work on me.
I'm a Sith, actually. Yeah.
All
Technically,
right.
I'm not a Jedi.
Okay. Well, this just went downhill so quickly at the end. So, I believe I can give the findings now. Is that correct?
Oh, please.
In the case of the people versus the Jedi, for the first charge of accessory to murder during the Clone War casualties, we, the court, find the Jedi not guilty. For the charge of dereliction of duty, we, the court, find the Jedi guilty. In the charge of abuse of power, considering the defendant here decided to forget that, we, the court, find the Jedi guilty
Yeah, definitely forgot that one.
in the charge of abuse and assault of the elderly. We, the court, find the Jedi not guilty.
Okay.
The Jedi will serve their time of losing all their members, being killed off during the current wars, as well as the charge of pleading guilty for children soldiers. You, the Jedi, will have to pay the people $8 million. That is in restitution, in emotional damage, and mental health.
I mean, at this point, disband the order, I guess.
I mean, there's no one who's going to be able to pay it. Put that out there.
Nobody left.
We, the court, still find that the Jedi are useful, but they are guilty.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mikey?
Yeah.
And Mr. Mikey, I will see you after this to talk about your little bribery incident.
You trying to? I can share.
That is fair.
Wait,
Okay.
Your Honor, don't take that serious. He's admitting to it.
The case is over. I believe the case is over now.
Okay. Personally,
Yep.
I want to see what anybody else would think. Is it? If you guys would like to say where you they can find you at, this has been Anime Court. Where can they find you at, Judge T?
Yes, I am Miss Tioni. You can find me on all social medias as that, without the period together, especially on Instagram and on Snapchat. It has been great to be your judge for this court case. I'm a little disappointed in the Jedi, considering what today is, but tomorrow is Sith Day, so we'll just go ahead and get past that. I believe I'll pass this off to the plaintiff next.
Mikey here at obviously Mikey. You can catch so quickly. You can
The one who
find
likes
me.
to
I
take
stream a
bribes.
bit sometimes not over at Twitch, Fluke the Villain. Same as my Instagram and Twitter. I'm not calling it X. I never will.
Never.
Yeah, it's but that's pretty much it for me. That's pretty much all of my socials. You can find me and the defendant.
You can also bribe him.
You can.
Well, my name's Dwight. Like I was saying earlier, I don't really have too many socials, but you can find me on Instagram at BLFrazzy12, and give me a follow there. I'll start posting all of the stuff here from Anime Court and Anime Trap House here soon, so you can actually keep an eye on us from that channel as well.
Okay. So that's it. I guess court is adjourned, right?
Also, in a surprise turn of events, the court would like to say that droids are recognized as sentient beings.
Absolutely.
Roger. And also, Jar Jar Binks is the best out of everyone in here.
Alrighty then. That'd be it then. We'll catch you guys in the next Anime Court. And coming up, the Blurred Trap House, which will be, I guess, recorded tomorrow, and there should be a show coming tomorrow, I think, for it.
Yes, it is the worst mothers in anime.
Yes, we will be covering that as a tournament setting. But I think that's pretty much it. So I guess we will catch you guys later. And peace out.
Bye.
Later.